Now, if you're a black Republican, you're in trouble. Hopefully that one day will change. Horace Cooper is a senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy and joins us now. Horace, were you surprised President Obama used this moment to go after Senator Tim Scott 2 weeks after declaring his candidacy? Why not embrace it?
Well, absolutely. I guess if I had the record that he had for black Americans, I would actually stay away from conversations about public policy officials and black America. He has the odious record of a 16.8% unemployment rate for black Americans. Now, he had a very, very toxic policy that he used. First, you have to destroy employment among all Americans, and then you get it worse for black Americans. More black Americans had their cars repossessed, had their homes foreclosed on during his presidency. You have to go all the way back to the Great Depression to find a time when black Americans were hurt as bad as they have been under Barack Obama's policy. It's a stark contrast with Donald Trump.
So he had a challenge for Tim Scott in the conversation with David Axelrod. He said, you have to have a plan for black Americans if you're going to run. I don't care if you're a Republican or not. He just assumes that he's sincerely trying to run. Number one, I would run the way Barack Obama ran on his biography. That's what he ran on. His book was a bestseller because it was a wonderful success story, an only in America story. But Tim Scott does have a plan. And one thing he worked with President Trump on was opportunity zones. He said, hey, you're going to do tax reform,
That's right.
I'll help you. But I want opportunity zones. And what it did is it incentivized the private sector to finance the rebuilding of communities, but not to price black Americans out or the working class out. It's to make their neighborhoods better. It was unbelievably successful, and it's still got great potential. That's more than just an idea. That's a plan.
Oh, absolutely. A rising tide lifts all boats, and under the Obama years, Americans of color, as well as the rest of the country, but Americans of color in particular, lost a lot of ground. Under the Trump years, when we decided to allow opportunity, instead of claiming you didn't build that, we said the door's open, come on in, and you get a shot at it. This former president shouldn't, of all things, shouldn't be talking about black America and policy with regard to the really, really odious record that he set. And last thing I'll say is, he's the reason that he's the only president who's ever been reelected since Roosevelt who got fewer percentage of black votes the second time that he ran than the first time. This wasn't true of Clinton. This wasn't true of Bush. Even in losing, Donald Trump got a higher percentage of black votes the second time.
It just shouldn't be this tough to be African-American, be a Republican, and want to be president. I don't think you should be forced to actually qualify yourself to the black community. Look at his story and decide if you like that story and you want him at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's it. And he's an extremely bright guy. By the way, when I talked about those opportunity zones, $100 billion he got private business and banks to give to rebuild many black and minority and working class communities. Thanks so much, Horace. Appreciate it.